Hey everybody, today Rahdo runs down a prototype of Area 1851 Express, which is a streamlined sequel to the excellent card drafting game Area 1851. And in this game, 2 to 5 players are Denzians of the Old West who have made first contact with aliens and are trying to use all that alien tech to make cool gadgets. And the way it works is, at the beginning of the game, each player gets a starting hand of 7 cards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. And then we are going to take this hand of cards, look them over, play one in secret, and once everybody's chosen what they're playing, everybody reveals, and they can do one of 4 things with those cards. Then the remainder of the cards go to the next player, and you end up getting your neighbor's hand, and you continue doing this draft until you've played through all your cards. So it's a very simple, straightforward drafting game, but there is definitely some interesting stuff going on. So let's take a look at what I've got right here. Now, there are largely 2 types of cards you'll have in your hand. Base cards, which have this little symbol right here that reminds you that this is what you're making. So I have a base, I could make a flying saucer, or I could make a sledgehammer, or oh yeah, so I've got 2 base cards. If I were to play either one of these cards, chances are I would use it to be the base of a new gadget, a flying saucer or a sledgehammer. Now, the other cards that don't have that little symbol are modifications that you can add. So I could make a leather flying saucer. You can see those 2 things go together. And that would double the points from 2 to 4 points if I make a leather flying saucer. But when I do that, I also unlock certain abilities. You can see there are icons on most of these cards. Once I have completely filled in all the connection spaces on my base card, at the end of the turn, I will then deliver that gadget and score the points. And I'm trying to deliver as many gadgets as I can before these cards run out, because once these 7 cards are gone at the end of a round, if I've got any gadgets I haven't finished, any work I've done on them will be wasted and lost. So there's a little bit of a push your luck. How many gadgets do you take on before you run out of time? So let's take a look at that. I want to start making something, definitely. So let's say we are, let's see, the flying saucer is worth 2 points. What was the other one I had? The other base item, it was a sledgehammer, right? Is also worth 2 points. But they both have different elements to it. One, the flying saucer needs 1, 2, 3 modifications, so it'll be a bit tougher to make. The sledgehammer only needs 1, 2 modifications. And the sledgehammer benefits from unity. It is worth additional points if the modifications I put on it are of the same type. There are 3 types of cards, or 3 faction cards. The settlers, the aliens, and the Native Americans. So if I start building this sledgehammer, I want the modifications I put to the left and the right to also be settler type, so I can take advantage of this unity bonus. And if I look at the rest of my hand, well, I could make it a lead-coated sledgehammer, which would then give me the cheat ability once it's made. And see, do I have anything I could put on the right? No, I don't. So my hope would have to be that in my opponent's hand, they're going to be able to hand me a card that would be settler type that I could put here on the right to finish this, so I could get maximum points out of it. Now on the flip side, if I go for the flying saucer, it's got this little fiddle here, which means this special power is I'll be able to add a card to my scrap heap once this thing is built. And having more cards in my scrap heap can really help me out in a pinch, because every card in this game on the back can be considered scrap, and as you can see, it's got connections for all 3 sides. So if I ever need something to be able to build something, having the stuff left over my scrap can really get me out of a jam. So do I value trying to go for the unity bonus or the scrap heap? Let's go for the unity bonus. I'm going to start making a sledgehammer. This is the 1 card I chose for myself. The rest of the cards are going to go to my neighbor. And like I said, most of the time I'm going to use this to either start a new gadget, or I'm going to use it to modify an gadget I'm already working on. Although instead, if I wanted, I could just turn this into scrap right now and add it to a gadget I'm already making, or I could put it in my scrap heap. Those are the main things. The last thing I could do with this is I could discard it out of the game completely to give myself a thing. There are 6 cards in here, and all of these things are base gadgets. A native thing, a settler thing, or a Krukian thing, which is the alien race. So if I end up having a card where there are no no base cards that would let me build something, I can always go and get a thing. And I could just build a general purpose thing. But I'm not doing that. I'm building a sledgehammer, gosh darn it. And the rest of my hand goes away. And meanwhile, my opponent's doing something, and then they hand me their hand. And so what have they given me? Hopefully they've given me, oh, perfect. Made of cast iron. This is another settler. If I use this as a modification, I can put it right here. You can see how that lines up. And there is unity here. I will be getting extra points because so I think that makes sense. Let's go with that. And, all right, you can see this other one would go up top. It's I could do a sledgehammer that rattles and is made of cast iron, but this one only wants one add-on. Or no, so I could take this, so I'm getting closer to finishing my gadget, and that gadget would be worth 5 points. Or, hey, my opponent just handed me this violin. I could start working on this, and when I get this built, I would unlock the recycle ability, which could be very, very handy as well. But no, this is just too good to be true. I'm going to go on ahead and do the made of cast iron. This is the one I've taken for myself. I hand the rest to my neighbor, and then I wait for my neighbor to hand stuff to me. And let's see here. So everybody chooses, I reveal, hey, I've got a sledgehammer of cast iron. It's almost done. I've almost finished making it. Hooray! And then my opponent hands me the hand of cards, and oh no! Where'd it go? They took the lead-coated because they could see that I wanted the lead-coated to make this a lead-coated sledgehammer made of cast iron because that would have triggered even more unity points. So they used that for themselves. They might have used it as scrap. They might have used it to get a thing, etc., but they kept it for me. You know how these sorts of card drafting games work. So what do I have here? Well, I would like to get this thing finished, so I need a modification. I could make this a leather sledgehammer made of cast iron, but, and in fact, actually, that's kind of unfortunate. This is the symbol for variety. Oh, right. Yes, yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, I was thinking of the diversity. This isn't diversity. This is boost. So this is one that would work better if the base had actually 3. So this thing will just give me 2 extra points. It'd be better on something else. But on the flip side, it will get this done. And hey, that's better than the 1 point extra point I was going to get for having unity. So I think I will just go on ahead and take this, and I'm going to finish. Although instead, if I wanted, hey, they handed me back that flying saucer. Instead of getting this finished, because at the end of a turn, as soon as I finish, I score all the points and I trigger the bonuses. But this might come back to me. The round is still young. Maybe I want to start making that flying saucer after all. But if I commit to that now, I can see how many more cards are there. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 more cards. I need 1, 2, 3, 4. So I should be able to get it done before the round is over. So let's go with that and then hope I get something good for my sledgehammer later. So I've chosen, I reveal at the same time, and meanwhile my opponent has made some choices, and then they've handed me back stuff. And what have they given me? All right. I could make this a brightly colored sledgehammer, or I could make it a brightly colored flying saucer. All right, and this cheat ability it would give me is basically allowing me to draw an extra card and play an extra card this turn. Right. So that could be pretty cool. Although, unfortunately, the brightly colored object itself is worth no points. But that means I could draw another card and potentially make it a bigger payday off my flying saucer before I forget it. Or I could even start a third item if I wanted, a nasal insert. But if I start a third, I don't think I'm going to finish. Like, I still need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I might be able to pull this off if I am cheating, because cheating would let me play another card. But I would need to have 2 more cards, so I would need to be able to do 2 cheats, or one of the other effects that effectively gives me an extra turn, to be able to take this nasal insert. So I think no, this turn I'm just going to go on ahead and choose that, hand the rest to my opponent, and when everybody reveals, I reveal I have finished it. I have made a brightly colored sledgehammer. Okay. So, at the end of your turn, if any of your objects are done, if your gadgets are done, you immediately score them. I get 5 points. Woohoo! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeehaw! And I also trigger any abilities. So, this unity says I get 1 point for every other card on the gadget that matches. So, I get 1 additional point. It would have been 2 points if I could have made them all completely unit, but I mixed settler technology with Native American technology. So I got 1 bonus point for that. There's no special on the made of cast iron, which is why it was worth more points. And I now get to cheat, which means on a future turn, I will be able to draw a card and play an extra card, which could be very nice. Okay, so, and then this goes away, And I am going to be able to play 2 cards, so I'm very confident I'm going to be able to get that flying saucer done before the round is over. Although, if I didn't, there might be certain things that allow me to get more and more scrap if, over the course of a round, I had actually accumulated some scrap, because there's special powers that do that kind of thing. I just put the scrap down here. When the round is over, when there are no more cards, if I've got a gadget that I have not finished yet, any scrap I've got in my scrap heap, I can pull it out and I'll immediately attach it. So that flying saucer I never finished, hey, I can finish it with all the scrap I had in my scrap heap, and that'll give me 2, 3, 4, 5 more points. Woohoo! So, like I said, there's a healthy dollop of push your luck. Do you take on these extra projects that you may be able to finish if the other gadgets you finish give you the right special powers to give you that little extra boost you need to make it over the top. And then once all the 7 cards, or more depending on the powers, are done, we go to the next round where once again we start with a hand of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards, and it continues. We're going to do this for 3 rounds, trying to build as many gadgets as possible, trying to leverage all the different special powers, and as you can see, there are a lot of special powers in this game. Some of them are immediate, some of them you end up getting a token so you can choose to use them whenever you want. Although, at the end of the game, if you've got tokens that you did not use, they're worth extra points as well. So, you can do all kinds of stuff, fiddling and cheating, putting things into stasis so you don't have to discard them at the end of the round, swapping stuff in and out of your scrap heap or what have you. Oh, snake oil. Making, being able to complete things even though they're not done because they're kind of a little shifty and scoring even more points than normal. If you make rotten things, your scrap heap starts to fall apart. So there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of cool, fun stuff in this very, very fast and clever little card drafting game. And that, folks, is the rundown on Area 1851 Express. Now, of course, the original Area 1851 was also a card drafting game, but it had so much extra stuff. Worker placement and dice rolling and action points and secret objectives, just tons and tons of stuff. This really does just take that core card draft and strips everything out, and it really does deliver on the name Express. This is a fun, fast little game, and it's got a great sense of humor, it's got fantastic art, and some interesting and compelling decisions to make. And really, I think probably the most interesting thing is that push your luck element. Do I think I can get one more gadget made before time runs out and I end up losing it? Or is that okay because, hey, the other gadget's going to give me stasis and then I've got more time to make it? A nice mix of things. Oh, you know what? Actually, I did have one complaint about the game, and that is specifically the player aid that came with my prototype. All of the special powers in this game are just represented on the cards by a single icon, so that player aid really needs to bring its A game. And from what I've seen, there are some entries that are a little light on detail. I'd really like to see that improved for the final version of the game, but otherwise, no real complaints in this very charming little card drafter. Jen, I've really enjoyed it a lot. I don't think it replaces the original, but hey, this is a game you can get done in a quick 15 minutes. It's an excellent filler. Again, great art, great sense of humor, good, solid gameplay. Area 1851 Express. That is the rundown, folks. Thanks very much for watching. Have a very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.